Welcome back to the show. Now, government has failed to pay workers' social security contributions totaling some 800 million cedis. That's according to the Auditor General's report being scrutinized by Parliament's Public Accounts Committee. The Auditor General says the amount has not been paid, although the money has been deducted at source from the salaries of public sector workers. The Controller and Accountant General is working with the Finance Ministry to settle the debt, but Deputy Finance Minister Casey Alatoforsen tells Joy News a new mechanism is in place to address the delayed payment of contributions to SSNIT.
I can assure you that we have cleared all arrears paid to the SSNIT as of 2014. I can also assure you that the ministry has taken a decision to pay the compensation of employees in gross. And paying in gross means that you are collecting what is supposed to be paid to SSNIT upfront and pay to SSNIT. So that means going forward there won't be any arrears. So in the past we used to pay net. Net means you pay net minus deduct after deducting the statutories like employers' social security, employees' social security, deducting income tax and all of that before we pay. But going forward, we've agreed that you have to pay gross and obviously pay what is due SSNIT and pay what is due GRA to them.
Well, we can now speak to our parliamentary correspondent, Elton John Bobe, who joins me now on the line. So, Elton, what does this mean for the ordinary Ghanaian worker?
Well, first, let me just say that this document before the Public Accounts Committee is the Auditor General's audit into the consolidated fund, as you can say, the accounts of government.
Okay.
And this is between the period 2012 and 2013.
Okay.
And in the report before Parliament, the Auditor General identified the fact that government failed to release this amount of money to SSNIT, because the controller deducted the money at source, and at some point the money was 700 million. There was also an outstanding of some 500 million. So put together, that will give you 12 million. The government paid just 5 million, leaving a balance of 8 million. And the Auditor General, in his account in the report, said that this could stifle the operations of SSNIT. Now, the response from the controller to that particular audit crew in the report is that she is liaising with the Finance Ministry to ensure prompt payment of the monies deducted from the salary of public sector workers. Now, what we have been told, however, is that government has paid off this amount of money since 2014. That's according to the Deputy Finance Minister, Casey Alatoforsen, because what we are looking at is between the period 2012 to 2013. And he's made mention to the fact that government has paid this money as at the end of 2014. Indeed, in the 2015 budget presented to Parliament last year in November, government quoted in terms of its contribution to SSNIT by money it has taken from the workers' salary that it had not paid that particular amount. But the Deputy Finance Minister is telling us that government has paid as at the end of 2014.
So as things stand now, those debts have been settled. Is that the case?
Well, that's according to the Deputy Finance Minister, Alatoforsen. But I'm also telling you that in the 2015 budget presented to Parliament in November last year, government, in its own words, in the budget stated that it had not paid the contribution of workers. Indeed, from January up to September 2014. But the Deputy Minister is saying that that particular amount of money was cleared at the end of 2014.
I see. Let's still stay on the Auditor General's report. Now, what else does it talk about?
Well, it talks about government failure to, for instance, pay to the statutory funds. We are talking about the District Assembly's Common Fund, the gov't Fund, and the National Health Insurance fund. And those areas were highlighted in the report. But like I said, we are looking at 2013, 2014. There may have been some, payments done within the period. So maybe we'll have to wait till the 2014 Auditor General report comes, that we can tell for sure that indeed government has fulfilled its obligation under the Constitution. But for now, it is talking about the fact that statutory payments have not been made. Government is also not some loans contracted, and the fact that government is not going after those who've been taking the money, maturing loans, the fact that the loans have matured, we are still paying the interest. But those are some of the issues that the Auditor General highlighted in the report. And as you may be aware, the controller is supposed to be the accountant of the nation, so he is in charge of payment of government maturing debt, government money, and all those. That's how come he is before the Public Accounts Committee to respond to government spending in relation to some of these things. There was also an issue about the expenditure recorded, especially in the run-up to the 2012 elections. Indeed, institutions like the Electoral Commission, even though in the budget was given 20 million Ghana cedis, at the end of 2012, it has spent 180 million. Some spending over 500% of money approved for them by Parliament.
So that means the Electoral Commission, for instance, has overspent its budget. Is that the case?
Yeah, that's according to the Auditor General in the 2012 report. In the 2012, Parliament approved an amount of 20 million Ghana cedis for the operations of the Electoral Commission. As at the end of the 2012, an amount of 180 million has been spent by the Electoral Commission. The explanation provided by government officials is that this particular 180 million we are talking about was taken from government obligations approved by Parliament, because the 20 million was approved to take care of the Electoral Commission's payments of salaries and goods and services. But the 118 million Ghana cedis spent by the Electoral Commission in 2012 took care of the organization and the holding of the elections, that's the presidential and the parliamentary elections in 2012. State organizations like the National Commission for Civic Education was allocated 316,000 Ghana cedis. As at the end of 2012, it had also spent 3.5 million Ghana cedis. And the explanation again is that they undertook education in the run-up to the election. That's how come this money was taken from the approved amount of money for government obligations to enable them undertake that particular exercise.
I see. Elton, thank you very much. But is there a sitting today as well? And what are we to expect?
Yeah, they will still continue with the Auditor General's report on the consolidated fund. So the Ghana Revenue Authority will take their turn. The Ministry of Finance will also be responding to some issues raised in the Auditor General's report.
Okay, Elton, thank you very much for that update. Elton Brobe is our parliamentary correspondent here at Joy News, and he's been speaking to us about the Public Accounts Committee and its findings. The Auditor General's reports there, quite a number of revealing things. We are being told that, for instance, the Electoral Commission overspent its budget by some 160 million Ghana cedis. We are told quite a hefty chunk there. But we'll still stay on some other issues now. And women at Enyan Aboinum in Ejumaku Enyan Isiam district went on a protest march from their community to present a petition to DISEC. The women say they can no longer share the same toilet facility with the men in the community. The women are accusing Nana Eduafu IV as the one who has prevented the men and asked them to abandon the new toilet being constructed for them. They're calling on DISEC and Inyan Dincha Omahine to call Nana Eduafu to order. Well, we can now speak to Nana Eduafu, who is joining us on the line now with a lot more on this particular one. Hello, sir. Nana, good morning, and thank you for joining us on News Desk. Okay, his line seems to have tripped there. We can move on to some other stories now. And Ghana and some other African countries could end this year spending far higher than what they are hoping to collect as revenue. That's according to the World Economic and Financial Survey report released in Accra yesterday by the IMF. The report says the expenditure overruns will be influenced by the cost government has to incur in servicing foreign-denominated bonds. This, it says, will lead to a situation where commercial banks that are exposed to government might have to reduce its lending to private businesses. We'll be bringing you much more on this later on in this particular bulletin. Let's go to our earlier story where women at Enyan Aboinum in the Jumaku Enyan Esiam district are on a protest march, or they've gone on a protest march. They do not want the gentlemen in the area or men in the area to share the same toilet facility with them. We can now speak to the chief of the area, Nana Eduafu, will do the fourth on this particular issue. Nana, good morning and thank you for joining us on News Desk. Okay, his line has stripped once more. We can take a break here. After this break, we'll be back with a lot more. Stay with us.